Hello there, and welcome to Grounded Health and Wellness. My name is Kate, and today I wanted to give you a short video to explain why cold therapy is not for everyone. There is a lot of buzz out in the wellness world when we're talking about kind of cold exposure, and there is absolutely a time and a place for this. There is varying degrees of cold adaptation, which I think could be helpful for everyone. But this whole kind of trend where, people are submerging themselves in ice baths and being told, this is great for a reset. This couldn't be more incorrect. And I wanted to kind of spread some education out on the issue around this. So there's kind of four things I would suggest we consider before we explore the idea of jumping into cold therapy. So first and foremost, how is your nervous system? If you are dealing with high stress, anxiety, even depression, things that are, um, struggling for you in that department, then cold exposure can actually trigger the body's fight or flight, so that sympathetic drive, and make things a little bit worse for you. So that can lead to, more hormonal imbalances. And other things which I'll get into. So I want you to kind of sit back and really be honest with yourself and say, like, where am I at as far as a nervous system? Do I feel balanced in my life? Are things moving smoothly? Or if things are a little bit more tumultuous in that department, then I don't think that cold therapy would, be ideal to kind of push that lever more into the direction of fight or flight. So another thing to consider when we're talking about this hormonal imbalance, not just sex hormones specifically, but the thyroid. So if we push the thyroid too far, it's kind of a delicate system for harmonizing things in the body. We can potentially, with too much cold therapy, push ourselves into hypothyroidism, which is that under performance from the thyroid. So people may already experience symptoms like that where they tend to run cold, their hands and feet are cold. They may be more lethargic. They may have a harder time losing weight, or they're gaining weight, outside of efforts that they're trying. So this cold therapy or cold immersions and things like that can actually exacerbate symptoms of a sluggish thyroid. So we want to be really careful there if that already is an issue. So in theme with kind of the thyroid, when we're talking about reproductive or our sex hormones, so, progesterone, estrogen, cold therapy can actually shock the system again because we're activating that sympathetic, and that really can disrupt the rhythms with progesterone and estrogen. So you could be facing things like irregular periods, or if your cortisol levels, that's your stress hormone, if those are out of balance, then that can also affect, the adrenal glands, that's kind of goes into our next point. But just finishing up here, it's just not a good idea if we're dealing with any form of hormonal imbalance to really push the lever one way or the other. You kind of want to find this beautiful middle space instead of going to extremes. So we want to be cognizant about that. So the last thing really is, if you suffer from adrenal fatigue, um, again, there are many symptoms that go along with this type of condition, but the bottom line is, like, you are kind of, your reserves for resiliency have run out. And when you participate in something like cold therapy, your body needs to be in a very safe and resilient space in order to tolerate that. Cold therapy is a stressor. If we're already overstressed and those stress control centers of the adrenals are running on empty, you're adding on another stressor that the body is not equipped to properly deal with. So we really want to be mindful of that. Not the right time for people if you are dealing with adrenal fatigue. From an Ayurvedic lens, I wanted to also tie in here. When we're looking at the doshas, Vata dosha specifically, that dosha of ether and air, Vatas by default, when they are out of balance, will tend to be very sensitive to the cold because they're already kind of more fair. They tend to have a lighter bone structure, thinner skin. They tend to be lighter in weight, so there's less body mass there to kind of act as an insulator against cold. So if you are prone to a Vata constitution, or Vata is already out of balance for you and you're aware of working with your constitution, then this cold therapy can really push things in a worse way for you and really aggravate Vata beyond a way that would be, more manageable. Most of the practices that we employ to pacify Vata dosha are this kind of warming and nourishing and grounding thing. So from a food perspective, we're talking about like nice warm cooked foods. From an environmental perspective, we always want to make sure the body is warm. Maybe even bundling up in the cooler weather when you go outside, like with scarves and covering the ears with hats and things of the like. So cold is not the way to go if we are trying to kind of be generous to making sure that Vata is calm, cool, and collected. So that's really it for me. I just wanted to throw that information out there because there is a lot of information online in regards to cold therapy. I think it has a time and a place. It is definitely bio-individual. That's why every client I work with, we really look at the person as a whole instead of just grabbing at some of these biohacks and implementing them into our lives. Because if you aren't utilizing them correctly for you and what you are managing from a health perspective, you can really make things worse when you're trying to make things better. So that is it for me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please be sure to like and subscribe at the end of the video, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.